Jai Sri Ram, Jai Sri Ram, friends. Welcome to Bharat Marg. Welcome Vinay Ji for joining with us. Thank you. And political analyst. And today we are going to discuss about a very interesting topic, friends. Troubling news for South Asians in Canada. Okay, that's what we are going to talk. Already racism against minorities like Hindus, Buddhists soar in Canada. Will this new move will add gasoline to the fire? Okay, is the question. Click watch the video discussion with political analyst Vinay Ji to know exactly how Hindus are being targeted. Already Hindus temples are being targeted. Buddhist temples are targeted, so those kind of things. So we will discuss about it. Yeah, how the vested interest is propagating the discrimination and hate against the minorities in Canada. Let's talk about it. And Vinay ji, if you can come a little bit your head to the top, so that you don't get cut off here in the chin, so that's what it
Okay.
is. But anyway, but let's it's a troubling news for Canada. But South Asians and Hindus and Buddhists especially. And you know what, before going further, friends, please make sure to like the video, comment on the video, share the video, give your opinion. And also, friends, make sure to subscribe to the channel Bharat Mark, and also press the notification bell to make sure that you get notified as we go live. Okay, Vinay ji, welcome to Bharat Marg. Troubling news for South Asians in Canada, especially. Do you agree it's for Hindus and Buddhists and those kind of sects, non-Abrahamic sects that get targeted? Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest issue that I'm finding in these communities is people like Guru Pratap Singh Toor. He is the counselor for Ward 9 and 10 in Brampton, and this guy won against Dillon and in the same ward by 227 votes. Okay, and he claims that it's a pretty significant margin. It is one of the biggest margins ever. It's a clear mandate for me that people want me elected. I mean, like, are you smoking something? Like, come on, man. Like, these guys are unbelievable. And this is the man who actually tabled this particular bill, okay, to kind of stop the discrimination, caste-based discrimination. All right. Now, my only concern or issue is with these people who are coming into power as councillors or MPPs and MPs, and they come with a huge baggage. That's what, let me put it that way. They are people who are directly from India. They don't want to sever any ties with India, and they are so caught up with this Indian thing of the whole things about India, that they kind of portray India in such a bad light
And
to the
and
West.
and I want to take 1 quick minute inside for the people who see. Okay, we have a program at 9 o'clock on Monday, folks. Don't forget to tune in. Okay, it's a live program on how the Jat Sikhs discriminate other Sikhs. You will see that at 9 o'clock, where the Sikh community leaders are going to come in and discuss about how they are being branded as non-Sikh. They are not allowed into Gurudwara, how they are mistreated. This we are going to portray. This is a reality in ground. Whereas these Khalistanis, what they say versus fake versus reality, we are going to show it. So make sure to stay connected. Yes, Vinay ji.
Yeah, so my issue is that these people are totally disconnected from India. They have moved to Canada, and let them talk about how we are going to improve Canadian system, Canadian infrastructure, Canadian issues. There are systemic issues in Canada that needs to be addressed by councillors, MPPs and MPs, and we as Canadians, we kind of vote for these people to come into power and hope that they address our issues. But instead they bring a baggage from India, and they're talking about some ancient, like we are talking about a system that was existing in India
No, no,
for the
no. I
last
don't agree with that. I don't agree with that, Vinay Ji. This
right.
system, you say me whether that problem in India is needed to be discussed here. I agree with you. Okay, you don't say me that Jat Sikhs are discriminating, not discriminating against the other Sikhs.
No, no, no.
Okay.
I'm only particularly talking about the caste-based system that
No, no.
exists
I'm
in
saying caste-based discrimination happens in Gurudwara
discrimination.
openly.
No, I understand that. I mean, like caste-based discrimination happens everywhere, but I'm talking about 3,000
No, more
years.
in Gurudwara. I travel too much for it. I can give
I,
you.
I'm not disputing that. I'm not disputing that, but don't
Dalits
get
are
me
not
wrong.
allowed inside. You cannot have langar in the same place. Too many
Right,
things are happening.
right. Yeah, exactly. So this has been going on for the last 3,000 years. But what I'm saying is, in the Constitution of India, it is very clearly stated now that discrimination against caste is not allowed. You cannot call a person, hey, you're a Brahmin, hey, you're a Dalit, hey, you're a this, hey, you're a that, or whatever, in the open. Okay, it does happen in many places. I'm not disputing that, and but it is punishable by law. That is what I'm saying. Okay, because it's in the constitution, and if anybody violates that in India, it is punishable by law. But what I'm trying to say is, the Indian government, okay, the Indian councillors, the Indian members of parliament, the Indian the legislative assembly members, these are the lawmakers in India, and they are going to address what is going on in India. Now a guy like Tur, who lives and lives here, and he's a Canadian, and he cannot come and talk about, oh, what happens in India can happen here, so we got to stop this. Man, focus on what is important for Canada.
No, 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 no. We don't even able to speak English. We come from
Exactly.
trucks.
These guys can't hardly speak a sentence in English. They can't string a sentence together with 10 words. Give them 10 words and say, okay, can you form a sentence with these 10 words? They will not be able to. But these guys get elected as councillors and MPPs and MPs. And God, they are actually a disgrace to our community from India. And they are bringing stuff that is unbelievably, not important. This is not important in Canada at all. That's what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. But how do you see the Christian missionaries and their slaves like these guys? Okay, they work for two. Okay, Christian missionaries and the ISIs in Bangladesh. They work for biscuit pieces. Yes, you know the whomever throws the biscuit, that's what it happens. So you abuse, and they will abuse their mother like they do their India. So how do you see this? How it is having an impact on the community in Canada? Why do you
Uh,
think this already these guys are focused on attacking the temples, vandalizing the temples, etc., to get good name from their Abrahamic bosses, and what these things will do now racism wise?
yeah, I'm like, you know what? This is, I have never. I'm seriously laughing at this whole issue. Why this has become an issue? They're wasting the council time, because council in Brampton or any city, for that matter, has a limited number of hours where they sit in meetings and they pass motions, right? And now this particular one probably had about a 10-hour debate or 8-hour debate. I don't know about that, but it's a matter of wasting council's time on something that is insignificant in Canada, because I have lived here for a long time, and I have never come across caste-based discrimination in Canada, especially within the Indian community, because I kind of live in in a community that is very Indian here. and I've worked for certain companies that are run by Indian bosses, but where I've faced discrimination is by the mainstream people, because some of them are there is still discrimination, and I can tell you that, and probably you experienced that too. That I've seen people who are from a certain background, they don't like people with our skin color and stuff like that. So and because we are progressing really well in this in North America, and that's a big issue for them. But caste based discrimination within the Indian community, unheard of, and this is something that is really not important, especially in Canada. If it needs to be addressed, let it be addressed in India. Okay, maybe it still
But
exists.
let me ask you this question, Vinay Ji. If you see in American standard or Canadian standard, okay, average Indians are more successful than the people from here. Okay,
From where?
their average income of an Indian family is much higher than the people from here. Is the reason why the Abrahamic bosses are throwing biscuits to these stooges to go for an attack on the Indian community? How do
Shall
you
I
see
tell you?
this?
Shall I tell you in very simple words?
Mhm.
I will tell you what the British did when they colonized India. Okay.
And you keep saying this also. These were all the guys who worked for them for the first World War, Second World War as a infantry.
Yes. And this is all influence of the British and the French. Okay. Canada is nothing but an extension of British and French. Okay. It's nothing else. All right. Canada never existed, a few hundred years ago. Canada is a pretty new country. It belongs to the natives. And the British and the French came in here, colonized a portion of Canada, colonized a portion of US, and colonized, and whatever they called it, Canadian, Canadian English, sorry, British Canadian and French Canadian and whatever. And then they have two languages, obviously English and French here. But what I'm trying to say is it's all British influence, because the way British colonized not only India, but many parts of the world, is by divide and rule. Divide and rule. And this division of divisive politics is what has played very well for them. And this is what the local Canadians are now doing it. Now these guys are kind of people like Thor are kind of feeding them all this the kibble. Actually, I could call it kibble. That's a good word, actually. And this is what these guys are feeding off of. And for them it's a great thing, because you know what, now this is divisive politics. Divide and rule the communities based out of India, like the Hindus, the Sikhs, the Muslims, or whatever, right? And then they kind of because they can't get the entire Hindus in one block. Now they're saying, oh, Dalits, you were discriminated in India, so there's a possibility that you're going to be discriminated in Canada. So now we are going to create this bill where caste-based discrimination is not going to be allowed. And people like what's his name? God, I forget his name. Puli something. So some guy by name Puli. Something he's saying, oh, this is a great time for us to celebrate. He's one of the Dalit action committee members or whatever here in Canada, and he's like, oh, this is great for the for all the Dalits. It's a victory for the Dalits and blah 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 and stuff like that. But for God's sake, man, you got to understand that this is not the way we live here in Canada. We got to live as a united community, because we are away from India, and these people are here to break us again. Hindus are going to be broken down as Kshatriyas, Hindu Brahmins, and blah 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 and blah blah blah. We should not let that happen. We've got to live as Hindus together, as one community.
Absolutely. And how do you see this? Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. We are going to do a larger piece on it on Monday evening. okay, how the Sikh discriminates, how the Gurudwara discriminates Dalit against Dalit, how the Jat Sikhs brand and give certificate that the others are not Sikh, okay, how the Jat Sikhs were the sole and sole in charge of killing, doing massacre in Jallianwala Bagh against other innocent Sikhs. We are going to do the thing. We are going to go into the history and do this. But now they coming and preaching this one here. How do you see that?
No, this is what I'm trying to say, right? I mean, like, this is like I was talking about this Vijay Puli. That's the guy. He's the Toronto-based social worker and executive director of the South Asian Dalit Adivasi Network. It's called Sadan, SADAN. And he says, "Oh, this is a big win for us."
And these guys are funded by the Christian missionaries here.
Exactly, you got it. This is a big win
the
for us.
one thing, Vinay, one thing. I'll expose these guys. Okay, you know what? This is said by the grandfather of Bhagat Singh. When these guys went to beg and plead to put Bhagat Singh into the Khalsa school, he said the dogs who work in the Khalsa school. This is the word quote by the grandfather of Bhagat Singh, are the nothing but the shoe lickers of the British, and I will never send my family member there. And saying that he put Bhagat Singh in the what you call Arya Samaj school.
Yes.
Okay.
No, this is all
history.
This is all happening because I somehow I believe in certain conspiracy theories, right? And I feel that there's a bigger agenda here. Okay, this is not something that is being done just to please some communities in Brampton or whatever. It's a much bigger agenda, because what happened is it started in Seattle in the United States. In early February 2023, they passed a similar motion in Seattle, saying that caste-based discrimination will not be allowed. Okay, and then it happened in BC, British Columbia. Then it happened in Toronto District School Board, and now it's happening in Brampton. The Peel District School Board is now, in the city of Brampton is passing this motion. Okay, and now people like Vijay Police are saying this is a big win for us. I've been asked about my caste a couple of times in Canada. I think they're not scared here. And back home in India, there is a law that bans people from asking about a person's caste. But here, there is no redressal mechanism. That is why the TDSP motion will go a long way in addressing the caste issue. But I'm telling you, to counter that, Dr. Ragini Sharma, okay, president of the Canadian Organization for Hindu Heritage Education, a Toronto-based nonprofit website, right? I mean, organization. She says, we all understand that there's no place for the caste system in society today. There is no caste in Canada. This is all being brought in as Hindu phobia. End of the day, it is
one thing I will say to you and to Rahini Sharma and everybody, the biggest discrimination happens in Gurudwara, even in Canada.
Correct. And then but I'll tell you, to support Ragini Sharma, what she's saying, she's got a very good point. She says it is a political movement, okay, and it has nothing to do with the upliftment of Dalits here. Okay, this has got nothing to do with Dalit upliftment. This is all political movement, and the funny thing is, even the lower caste people from various religions in South Asia have shared anecdotes of their experiences online since news broke of the decision in the Ontario and BC, right? The idea of caste-based discrimination as its own category of discrimination in Canadian jurisdiction has become a source of contention between two South Asian groups, those who support the decision and those who oppose them. Now, who are the people who are opposing those? People like you and I, okay? We don't think caste-based discrimination happens here, and it's like, or even if it does,
what the white guy knows other than your color?
Yeah, but why
there is absolutely a color-based discrimination.
Correct. Why? Okay. Do you think that there's no caste-based discrimination within Christians? Because there are how many Christian groups here. Like,
and
you got
and
the
and there are records that says so-called, what is her name, Teresa, Teresa, will never admit a person into her church if they are Protestant.
right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. There are Catholics, there are Protestants, there are Seventh Day Adventists, there are Jehovah's Witness, there is, innumerable churches. One doesn't go to the other church. So this is the problem. So don't you think this is caste based? So why don't you talk about that rather than addressing something like this? People like Tur Singh are actually are the cause for all of this. I mean, these are the people who should be literally booted out of this council and stuff like that. I don't know why people elect these people, because these are the guys who come with some kind of funding. And obviously, and you're seeing what's happening just the last week, when Rahul Gandhi went to United States, and he's been addressing and bad mouthing India, bad mouthing the Indian constitution, bad mouthing the Indian governance, bad mouthing the Indian government, and bad mouthing the Prime Minister of India. And in all respects, like he addressed a press club in Washington, he addressed the Stanford University. I don't know who's giving him the platform, because this is
So,
all happening because of the
missionary
2020. Yes, 2024 elections are
and
coming up.
Pakistani gang.
Correct. 2024 elections are coming up, and this is what their narrative is changing, and they're kind of becoming stronger and stronger. And we have to oppose these people, because these people will eventually, they'll have some little victories here and there, but on the larger front, they're actually putting down the image of India, what Modi has been building for such a long time.
But how do you narrate, okay, the Khalistani Jat Sikhs calling the Hindus caste discrimination? Is it is like a coffee calling the kettle black? How do you say it?
Yeah, you're right, actually, because the thing is, when things are happening in their own fold, in their own religious groups, they, rather than focusing on that, they're shifting the focus from there to something else, right? So this is the best way of kind of escapism. So what they do is, to escape their own issues, they kind of shift the focus onto something else. And this is, some people are great at doing this, and I'm seeing this is happening in the Sikh Khalistani community. They're shifting the focus, and they're doing all these referendums and blah 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 and whatever, right? And unbelievably, people are falling for that, and that has to stop. I mean, we know what is going on, what is the truth, and the development that has been happening in the India in the last 9 years is unprecedented. In the last 70 years, you've never seen such development, like the number of highways that have come up, the Swachh Bharat, the Make in India, and all that stuff that is happening there. People are not giving cadence to those developments, but rather than that, they're actually talking about these bad stuff that existed 3,000 years ago, and now they're making a big deal about this in Canada. Like, come on, guys, please, you got to stop this. And I hope Patrick Brown, he
No. He won't do it. He won't do it.
I mean, it's all based on politics, right? It's all a vote bank for all these
He
politics.
is a racist who is happy that Hindus are getting beaten up.
It's divide and rule politics, because not everybody supports him. So now he's now got a huge Dalit backing now. People who have Dalit background will think, oh yeah, this is great for us. Patrick Brown has done this, so now he has won the the entire Dalit community that is going to vote for him, right?
Will it? Because here the people are educated. The most of the people who come there, they will understand these groups.
Exactly. I'm glad that you said that. Will they? I don't think so. But this is the stupid. What do you call it? Assumption that these guys go with, and that's a wrong thing that they go with.
Yeah, first they had to stop so much of harassment and unbelievable amount of police harassment happens on the blacks and browns. They had to better
Exactly.
stop it, Canada.
Yeah.
Okay, you
I
clean
mean,
up your own back first.
I
Okay.
want to say two things before we finish. Actually, I just want to say one thing about the Sikh Khalistani community here. They're doing a referendum in Canada. Okay,
Mhm.
how much significance does it have on Indian politics? Okay, on Indian governance, or on Indian government making a decision? Oh my God, in Canada 400 people said that we want a Khalistan government, so all right, Punjab,
No, no, no.
okay, today you become
Give the right number. It's not 400. What is the right number?
386. Okay.
Don't give too much credit to that.
I just kind of made it
You round
around
it up and you made it up. Please don't do that.
Oh, okay. I apologize. All right. So now this is the kind of people that do that. And on the same thing, now I'll tell you, I laugh about this. I pity this Mr. Rahul Gandhi. He is going in the United States and crying on their laps and saying, "Oh my God, people are doing such bad things in India. Please help me." He thinks the US or the Australian government or the British government will help him out. And these are guys who will laugh at him after he goes back and takes the flight back to India, right? Because, once he goes back to India, the problem is nobody in India cares what happens in the United States. Even if the press club or the Stanford University give him a platform to talk about bad stuff about India, right? Who cares? Like, do they people in India care? Oh my God, this happened in United States. Okay, we are now going to vote for Rahul Gandhi. Like, what are these people coming to? Like, what is going on with these people, man? I mean, like, this is crazy.
No, but you had to understand, Vinay Ji, the Hindus in Canada has to also get some brain because see, here is Jagmeet Singh who calls a racist, who does a racist attack on our Raksha Bandhan festival, okay, and he will celebrate Mother's Day, okay. What an idiot! Why Mother's Day?
Mm-hmm.
Can't they call you a unigender? Only
No,
okay, we
we
have
did
done
a
a
show on
video.
that. We did a show on that. Mother's
Yeah,
Day.
we have done a video on it. Why?
Yeah.
Put the pink sparks like a man. Anyway, we will talk in detail. Thanks for coming, Vinay Ji, and thanks for sharing your wisdom always. And looking forward to see you, friends. Please make sure to comment. What do you think? And we will love to hear from you. Okay. See you in the next video. Till then, good day
Hare
and
Krishna ji.
goodbye and Jai Sri Ram.